Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the Gainsight Customer Outcomes team, Yael Altschuler Malik.
Most CEOs and founders dream of the day when they will head down to Wall Street and ring the closing bell in the New York Stock Exchange to celebrate a successful IPO. For Tom Riley, the CEO of Cloudera, this dream came true 2 weeks ago. Let's watch the video.
You have to persevere and stick to that vision. All the same while being agile enough to listen to the market and adjust. Because your initial vision is not always going to be a perfect fit to the market, but if you're a true innovator, there's validity in that vision. So you need to stick to it, but adjust and listen to customers and then fit.
We are thrilled to be joined here today by Tom Riley and Sarah Spurnell, Cloudera's VP of Customer Success. Together, they will share how they transformed Cloudera to focus on the customer and how this change impacted their business in such a crucial year. Please join me in extending a warm pulse welcome to Tom Riley and Sarah Spurnell.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here. Holy smokes. I thought it was customer success. I would rename this conference success. Congratulations to the Pulse Conference. This is truly amazing to see the attendance.
Yeah, and thank you, Tom, for being here. And I want to reiterate my thank you to you for taking us public.
You're welcome.
Despite being on the public market now, I don't think a lot of people understand who Cloudera is. And I was hoping maybe you could just take a minute and explain what we do.
All right, thank you. This is part of our land conversation. First off, we're going to hopefully save some time here for Slido questions. So as we're going through it, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them. So Cloudera provides the modern platform for machine learning and advanced analytics. And it's a very hot space, but it really comes back to a couple backdrops. The world is becoming rapidly interconnected, what we call hyperconnectivity. By 2020, it's expected there'll be 30 billion devices. Everything and everyone on the planet is becoming connected. Think of how our bodies, our phones and our Fitbits, our health rate monitors, cars, homes, refrigerators, microwaves, supply chains, everything's becoming connected. In this newly connected world, is causing every single enterprise to have to rethink their business and specifically rethink about how they interact with customers in this newly connected world. And is there new data that they can get to anticipate and predict their customers' needs, desires, or wants? If you're a manufacturer, you have to rethink about how you manufacture products in this newly connected world so that you understand how they're being used in the field, how your customers are interacting with your products, and you can tailor them to meet your customers' needs. And in this newly connected world, you also need to think about how you protect your business because a lot of bad things can happen in the connected world. And this is where Cloudera helps our customers. We help them get access to data they haven't had access to before and not to report on it. What we help our customers do is predict and anticipate how their business is going to operate or how their customers are going to operate in this newly connected world, or predict and anticipate bad things that may happen with their products or services or on their networks. So that's what we do, and we do it with our name, Cloudera. So we employ machine learning, advanced analytics, think of artificial intelligence. We have to do this at scale with big data sets. So we leverage a lot of the public cloud infrastructure because you have that scale out availability. And we do it with the largest enterprises on the planet.
Thanks. Impressive.
Yeah, so now, you. We didn't rehearse. I said, let's not rehearse because then it'll be more ad hoc and comfortable up here. Now, you thank me for us becoming a public company. We just became a public company about 10 days ago, but it's a long journey. We're in our 9th year. I haven't been here that long, less than half of the age of the company, but Sarah was probably employee 15 or 20 or so.
Was employee 20.
Very early, so 8 or 9 years ago you were here. So what were you doing then, and what was the company like then?
We were a tiny startup really kind of didn't even know what we were doing. But we did recognize that we were building a new market. This was something that was going to change the world, or we believed. But it's a new market around big data and Hadoop that nobody understood. So I joined the company to build a training organization. I wanted to be able to train our customers and make sure that they knew what they were doing and leverage the technology properly and get value out of it. So it was very exciting.
Well, and I do remember early on when we started having our discussions around customer success, one of the things we tracked was a correlation between our customers that took training, either public or private training, and their success, and we could track it based on calls into our support center or their expansion rates. And that was some of the early thinkings where I was starting to realize, wow, we really need to focus on adoption by our customers, the training aspects, and getting them into production. So maybe you can share, because it was your idea to build a customer success organization. So what were your thoughts then, and what did you see?
Well, education was customer success for us, or a critical aspect. But as I would train people in a classroom, then they'd leave. And I didn't know their journey beyond that, right? I didn't know their further interactions with us. Many of them became customers, and the ones that were trained well tended to be more successful customers. But why, right? Did they have interactions with our support team, or did they leverage our professional services? And we knew they often did, but we needed to better understand that journey and better support them if they weren't leveraging all pieces of our aspect of our company. So if they weren't leveraging our partners correctly, or they having problems with product.
Yeah, so it was about 2.5 years ago, Sarah and I were having this conversation about, do we create a customer success organization? And I had never hired a customer success executive before. And as I started thinking, and I met with Nick from Gainsight, and we chose, what does customer success look like? And Sarah was championing this. It became very clear to me I was looking at the perfect executive. Sarah not only understood our technology, because she had to build a whole training program for our customers, she knew how to communicate to our customers. She understood our customers because she had trained them. And she also had the trust and confidence of our field organization, our executive team. And rather than bring someone from outside, we said, let's put Sarah into this role. And it was a key ingredient to the success of our program. Maybe you can share just a little bit more about what you've built and how it's affected the overall culture of Cloudera.
Yeah, so my team itself is actually quite small. We're 12 people, but customer success is way beyond a team, right? We made it a company culture. So we began better coordinating with all of the different functions within our organization and made a culture really of customer success and made it a focus of the company.
Yes. One of the things that Sarah helped drive and I enforce, we start every internal meeting talking about existing customers before we talk about future customers. And it creates that, even when we're talking about roadmap stuff, we say our current customers are more important in the roadmap than our future customers, which is a hard trade-off to always make, because you always want, that new customer feels good. But our business is so important to drive customer success. I think we'll come to that in a minute, but before we go there, share a little bit. This is a bit of a sales pitch, because we eat our own dog food or drink our own champagne or whatever the latest thing is. Share how we use data for customer success.
Yeah, it is the data. It's super critical, and a lot of people in this audience get quite a bit of usage data, and they can see each keystroke or each click, and we don't get that. Right? But it's critical that we understand what our customers might be doing, where their pain points are, what interactions they've had with us. So we ingest that data. We take tons of it, actually. Our software itself phones home. Really important information, but it comes in pretty darn fast. So you need to keep funding my cluster, okay? So we take all that data. We take support usage data. We even need to know things, Tom, if we can, around their sentiment. So if we could pull in social, we do some of that. If we can understand that maybe a key player within our customer base, the sysadmin who's core to keeping the cluster running, leaves the company. And we know that because of LinkedIn data. Right? So we ingest all of this, in our EDH, that's Enterprise Data Hub. And yeah, it's important to do machine learning and data analysis on it. And then we expose it to not just my team again, but to many aspects of the company, including executives, support leaders, and others. We use tools like Tableau, we use tools like Gainsight to do that. But the data is crucially important.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in, we're a big data company, and as such, we need to run our business on data, and what we're striving to do is to be the best run enterprise software company on data. What Sarah has built in our Enterprise Data Hub, it's approaching about a petabyte of data, which for a company our size is a lot of data. But she's right, I mean, it's like we're collecting LinkedIn feeds, and when we see our customers move, especially our happy customers move from one customer to a prospective customer, that's a great trigger for us to kind of follow them. But then we also know that a lot of times we had trouble if our champion left a project and they moved. We now have a whole reason to go marshal resources and go build a new champion in that customer. We track support calls. So every Monday, we look at support health check scores. And we're tracking how people are using our software. Is the software use going up or down? Calls into support, how many frequency of calls, are we responding to them quick or not? And it's allowing us to put a score for, we have well over 1,000 customers, but to put a score for each and hone in on those that are showing potential concerns.
So Tom, you asked me why I wanted customer success, but why did you? Why was it important from the CEO's office to focus on and fund efforts around customer success?
Yeah, we were desperate. I'll put it this way. So this is the first open source company I came to, and it really perplexed me that people could use our software for free. Like, wow, so we got to really understand what our value is in this equation. And it turns out our value is in making our customers successful. So open source is a difficult business model. Of course, open source combined with subscription, where every year you need to earn your business again. You have to be giving value every step of the way to your clients. Our technology is very, very complex. It is a very complex sales cycle. It requires enterprise salespeople doing POCs, lots of executive love flying in, because our customers are making big, big kind of platform decisions, but they start out small. So for the most part, none of our initial relationships with a customer is a profitable one. So I'm looking at this going, how long does it take to get to profitability? And just renewing them wasn't good enough. We needed them to not only renew 1 year later, but we needed them to expand before that renewal. So what we quickly learned is this is it's a land, adopt, expand, find a renewal, and expand growth. And we've been working on it now for about 3 years. And now we have clear visibility into how we can drive every customer relationship through an accelerated expansion curve into a profitable range. And then it's how I can model, as we land a customer, when does that relationship become profitable? We're now down to the point where we're measuring margin contribution by customer. And we had one customer that it was just a bad business relationship where it was going. And I went and I visited with them. I visited with the CIO and I said, look, this is not a healthy relationship for us or you. We need to correct it. And that was this CIO, this woman, she was fascinated with that conversation, able to present the data. And it led to her investing more in training her team, investing more in our services, having a designated support engineer, and then we got that relationship doing really well.
Well, thank you for doing that and not firing my customer.
Yeah. Here's how I'm going to do it. So I had one more slide. And I'm going to use this slide to talk through what a successful customer looks like and also kind of what we do. So I mentioned earlier that there's 3 classes of use cases. We help our customers in this connected world, vast amounts of data, what they can do with machine learning and advanced analytics. And they're across those gray bars. The first is driving customer insights. So think of it in retail. If you can have next best offer or location-based retailing, or someone's walking through and on your iPhone, you can put an ad based on what they're shopping for to direct them somewhere. Or in banking, it's all about next best offer and cross-selling and upselling across your different banking products. The example here is British Telecom, who uses us for over 100 applications. We started with them about 5 years ago with one application. Today they have well over 100 applications in production, and they continue to grow. An exciting one is they provide communication services to 3 million businesses in the United Kingdom. And this is a very commodity-oriented business with high churn, because each business wants a different SLA as their customer, and they would, if they miss an SLA, they would churn a customer, and they could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars when they lose a single client. So they use our software to look at all network traffic, and they can actually anticipate bandwidth issues, try to divert where they have bandwidth issues and reroute traffic so they don't break SLAs. But if they do miss an SLA, even though the customer doesn't know, they notify their account team to go notify the customer and correct it. That has reduced their churn tremendously. So that's a cool use case, but customer success drove from 1 to 100 applications. Navistar, this is the connected products and services. Navistar fully instrumented 250,000 vehicles. They make trucks, buses, delivery vehicles, even military equipment. 250,000 vehicles driving, and all the data streaming back to us. We combine it with weather data, local traffic information, route schedules, and maintenance records. Okay, so we get all this data, and we can predict when a truck needs service, like its brakes change or oil change or an air filter change, put it to the nearest service station and get it back on the road. They took their operating costs from 12 cents a mile to 3 cents a mile in doing that. So that's cool. And they want to go to 3 million vehicles. And that was one where we worked with them to get into production in a matter, we measured it in weeks, that application, but now it's just exploding, the data explodes for us. And the last one is Citi. And this is in protecting businesses. The use cases here are anti-money laundering, fraud, risk aggregation, cybersecurity. These are all very data intensive, and machine learning helps you find all these anomalous activities. But here's what's important with Citi and why customer success is so important. They became a customer in 2013 for one use case running on 50 servers. And the way we charge for our software is per year, per server. So 50 is kind of a small starting point. It's definitely not profitable after all the selling cost. Today, they have 35 applications in production, in those ones I talked about earlier, 35 applications in production on 4,000 servers. Our relationship grew 80-fold by focusing on the success of that. And what happens is when you get into every single incremental application becomes more profitable for us because we're doing less selling, the customer has skills, and the relationship grows. So that gives you a sense of kind of why the importance of customer success for us. Sarah's team is involved in all of these, driving them, and those are the class of applications.
All right. Well, do you want to open it up to the
let's go to Slido.
audience?
All right, I'll go. Sarah, you take the first one. That's the second one. I'll call out you.
Yeah, I will. You want me to take the second question?
Yeah.
Okay. What was one of the biggest learnings over evolving customer success from employee 20 to today? At 20 employees, we had, I don't know, maybe 20 customers. Very small number of customers. They all got high touch. They all had our founding CEO's phone number. That doesn't scale. So I think the biggest thing was figuring out how to, at scale, provide the same things they needed. So we built up a support organization and professional services. But behind that, had we not in parallel also invested in building those systems and the data analysis, support couldn't do their job as effectively. I couldn't do my job as effectively. Our support team, we talked about eating your own dog food, or I like drinking your own champagne. I like champagne. So
she does.
So they wanted to deflect cases or handle a case faster because maybe we've seen it before, or we've seen something like it. Yeah. So I think it's really the scale, the things that a lot of fast-growing companies have to deal with.
Okay. So the question here is, what is the most important KPI for I as a CEO around customer success? Well, ultimately, why we're doing customer success is to drive our net expansion rate. And we need, the higher we drive that, the more profitable every one of our customer relationships become. However, that's not the KPI because that's the end result. The most important, the earlier we can get visibility into customers that are not happy or not successful, the better we are. And the earlier after we do our initial sale. So what we start tracking is how much time before they're into production. We do track, do they have training and services attached to that initial sale? Because we have clear traction. So there's no single KPI, but every single Monday we look at these specific stats in the support health check score, trying to anticipate where we have problems so that we can intervene earlier and quicker. Our selling cycle is not, land a customer, go find another customer, and come back a year later and do a renewal. We land a customer on a Friday. We're in there on Monday making sure that the project's going well. We typically want a partner helping, and then we're finding another use case. We're trying to drive that expansion. And so these early indicators are important to us. I'll take another one, then I'll go to Sarah's on the second one. Cloudera is one of 9 tech IPOs in 2017 where the company isn't profitable yet. What is your plan to turn the company profitable, and what role does CS play?
Now hold on, Tom. We're in a quiet period.
Yes, we are in a quiet period. I was asked that question a lot during the IPO show. So I can't talk about timeframes, but let me talk about how important customer success is to our path to profitability. Our whole business is a land and expand business. The higher we can drive expansions, the sooner we get to that period of profitability. And those expansions come right back to customer success. No customer is going to expand with us if they're not getting great value. So we invest tremendously in that.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Our time is up, but I really appreciate you coming and speaking to this audience today.
My pleasure. Thank you all for what you do. We enjoyed the conversation.